Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in, coming back, and watching. I do appreciate it. Hope your day's going really well. I'm in Luminar 4 today, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a specific look that I use occasionally. And honestly, now that I've been playing with it prior to making this video, I really feel like I should use it more because I really like it. And that look is what they call the teal and orange, or orange and teal look. It's not something that you really think about, but after you see this video and you start thinking about it, I think you'll start noticing it more and more and more. It's a fairly popular look, but I don't know if it has a name other than like teal and orange. I find it to be very cinematic. Once you see it and then you start noticing it, you'll notice it in movie scenes and things like that. And a lot of it, I think, has historically come from people using like LUTs to color grade their cinema footage or video film footage. And so it's shown up in a lot of scenes in different movies, and I don't know the ones offhand, but you'll start to recognize it. But anyway, it's got a specific look. It's very simple to emulate in Luminar, which is fun. And the thing I like about it is, even though it's cinematic, I tend to shoot more cityscapes than probably anything else. And it's very, very applicable, I think, to cityscapes, especially in kind of the twilight hour or evening. I think it works really well in a lot of shots like that. But interestingly, it also works, I think, fine in landscapes and even portraits. So let's dive into it. Here's a landscape close to my house. Nothing spectacular, just a basic shot. I'm going to go into AI Enhance and just kind of give it the easy button just to kind of brighten that photo up. And then here's how I go and create the orange and teal look. And that is, well, let me rephrase this. There's two ways that I think you can do it fairly capably in Luminar. One is using color balance, which is here in the advanced section of color enhancer. And the other one is with split toning. In split toning, all you would do is basically pick a kind of orange hue for the highlights and kind of a teal hue for the shadows, and then slide the saturation slider accordingly. So that's really all orange and teal is. You're making the highlights kind of oranger or kind of warmer, and you're making the shadows cooler. But I prefer to do it in color enhancer, and that's because if you click on the advanced settings and come down here to color balance, you just go to shadows and you just go to red and cyan. You kind of go that way, and then you click on highlights and you take the red and cyan and kind of go that way, and there you go. You kind of have it. So it's very simple and straightforward and easy to do, and really I just kind of prefer to do it there. Now you can also double up. You could take split toning and say, well, I'm going to take a little bit of that and give it a little bit more oomph in the highlights, and then come over here to kind of the teal in the shadows and give that a little bit more oomph. And so you can sort of stack it in that way. But I tend to prefer just to go into color enhancer and do it with the color balance slider. That's a sample on a landscape, and to be clear, this is not a full photo edit. I recommend contrast or sharpening, managing the light better than I did. I just use AI accent to just kind of give a little bit of an even tone across the image. But I recommend doing a lot of your base edits first, kind of developing the photo, if you will, and then go into the creative color stuff, which would be this orange and teal look here in color enhancer. I'm going to go grab a couple of cityscapes and show you some examples there. Okay, here's a sample cityscape. Now, I've already edited this photo previously, and I also cropped it using the new 21:9 crop ratio, which is also fairly cinematic. I really like that kind of wide look. But there's the base photo unedited except for the crop, and that's my current edit. Now I'm going to go put the orange and teal look on it. And again, I'm here in the advanced settings of color enhancer using what's called color balance. And in shadows, I'm just going to go kind of towards the cyan, which is teal, and in the highlights, I'm going to go over here kind of towards the red, which is more the orange. And you can see what it's done for the photo. So here's before that filter. It doesn't look bad. I'd actually edited it like this and was happy with it. But now that I've applied the orange and teal look to it, I think it looks a little bit more cinematic and a little bit more interesting. And I think I'd go put a kind of a vignette on that and maybe even amp up this cyan and red kind of slider, this orange and teal look a little bit more, just to get a little bit more creative. And one of the things about, I think, why it's so popular, number one, orange and teal sit across from each other on the color wheel. So they're complementary. So basically, you have two contrasting colors, and so they complement each other quite well. And so it sort of helps create depth in the photo. You can see in this one where you've kind of got orange on one side and teal on the other. And so it's sort of that interplay or contrast of colors. I just think that looks really nice. So that's that photo. Let me show you another cityscape. Okay, and here's an unedited photo from the same night. And once again, in color balance, I'm going to take shadows toward the cyan and highlights towards the red. And there you go. Let me show you one more time. There's before, unedited, nothing done to the photo. This is the RAW file. You can see right up here. It says raw.arw as well. It's a Sony RAW file. But there's the unedited photo, and there it is with the orange and teal look applied to it. Now again, I recommend you do your base edits first. I did nothing to this photo. That is purely just the color grade. So I wanted to show you that. Now here's another idea, and that is you can get LUTs that have an orange and teal look to them. And so I've got a number of LUTs that are orange and teal, and then you can just go over here to the Creative tab, get the color styles or LUT filter, and then go apply those LUTs to also instantly add that orange and teal look to your photo. So that's another idea for you. Here's another example. This is just a JPEG, but again, unedited photo. I've done nothing to it. The highlights are out of control and all that, but I just wanted to show you on a cityscape, especially when the lights are on and you have some nice light, you can come over here and take these shadows kind of into that cyan and take these highlights into that red. And I think you get a really nice look to the photo. Let me show you the before. There's the before and there's the after. Again, it's a higher contrast kind of look, and it's bringing up the difference, which is the contrast between those the cyan and those red colors, which is kind of the orange and teal. So, again, something fun that you can do with your photos. Got a couple more of examples for you. Okay, now another idea is to use this technique on a sunset. So I've got some clouds here, really nice sunset. And once again, I'm going to take these shadows kind of toward the cyan to kind of create a little bit richer blue. And then in the highlights, I'm just going to really drag that to the right and go fairly high and kind of towards the red. And you can see I've got a nice color shift there in the image. There's the before and there's the after. It gives some really rich, warm tones to that sky. And that darker blue helps create a little bit more contrast in the image. Again, before and after. And while I'm at it, it also works on nature shots. So here's a waterfall that I captured in New Mexico a number of years ago. And you can see just taking the cyan red to the left gives that really rich green. And some people really like that look. I've seen countless waterfalls like Oregon and Washington State, places like that, where people take waterfalls and they really kind of green it up like that. And it looks gorgeous. That looks really rich. But if you come back here with the highlights and do a little bit of that stuff there, I think it works well too. Now I'm starting to pick up, because the highlights are picking up more of that red, I might want to tone that down a little bit. And here's what I said where I really recommend using this in combination with other filters. So I'm going to go over here to light, and I'm going to get the whites. I'm just going to increase the whites a little bit, and then decrease the blacks. And just kind of, again, I'm creating a little bit more contrast in the image. I'm actually going to bump up the highlights a little bit as well. And I think I might cool that off a tad. And there, I even took the temperature and the tint down a little bit. And there's the before and the after. And a lot of that is because of the color enhancer, or I should say specifically kind of the orange and teal, which there's the before. That's without the orange and teal, which is all I did here in color balance, and the after. So it has a massive impact on photos, and it's very flexible. Let me show you some portraits. So here we go. Once again, shadows kind of to the left, and I'm getting a little bit of blue there. And then in the highlights, I'm going to pull those, make them warmer basically. And there you go. So let me show you the before. There it is, and the after. I think it works really well on skin tones because it brings up some of that warmer color in them, and I think it looks really nice. So once again, there's before and after. Let me show you one more portrait. Okay, so here's a couple I shot at an event here in Austin, and once more, again, cyan and in the shadows kind of to the left to create that richer, darker, cool tones, and then the highlights, I want to pull those back to the right to create the warmer tones. And you can see with the skin tones, it just looks gorgeous. It's warm and beautiful, I think, in terms of their skin tones. And again, contrasted with that bluer in the background. So there's the before and the after. I think it's a really unique look. I think it's a lot more flexible than you might necessarily think that it is. But I think it gives you a lot of creative control and some interesting, flexible, sort of creative output in your photos. And so Orange and teal, great for landscapes. It works on beach shots because if you're thinking about it, you got blues and oranges there, and it's going to help you create more contrast in those. Works on portraits, works on cityscapes. Very flexible, very fun. Hope that you found that helpful. But that's orange and teal and how I like to do that kind of look in Luminar using the color balance sliders. And that covers it, my friends. So thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll be back really soon with more videos. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget to leave me comments. Let me know what you think about this technique. And I'll see you soon, friends. Have a great day. Take care and adios.